Aloha, good afternoon, namaste, everybody. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz. I'm joining you from Livestream.travel and eTurboNews in Honolulu, Hawaii. And this is a different format of our daily news broadcast because we're going to do an interactive version today. We've never done this before. We're all excited and see how this goes. With me is, as always, Dr. Peter Tarlow in College Station, Texas. We usually start our session with how the weather is, and we can expand this a little bit because this is not just for spectators. Spectator, you don't have to join us live. You can go on Facebook or you can go on eTurboNews. It's really for everyone to interact, give us a rundown what's going on in your part of the world. And so we keep this hopefully quite interesting and quite interactive. We're going to try this today. We're going to try it again on Wednesday. And if it works, it could become like a daily occurrence, and you can jump in, be part of our audience, or join us on eTurboNews and just watch us or watch the archive. Since this is live, we don't have our regular news clips prepared to play in between, but in the archive, you will see this. So when you listen to it later on yourself, you will see other news archive items included here. But the live session is live, and that's what you get, and that's who we are. We're live right now. We usually start with the weather. I'm going to ask Peter how the weather is in Texas, but from here I can tell you it's a beautiful sunny day, and then we can go on and everyone can maybe introduce themselves. I have a list here of people who are on there and see how we can keep this active. How's everything in your part of the world, Peter?
Oh, everything today was beautiful. It was supposed to rain, but it didn't. Instead, we had blue skies and we had hot, muggy weather, which most Texans like a lot. So you'll notice that I put as my background here flags from around the world. And the idea was to represent as many countries as we could. What we're going to be doing is asking people to just tell us maybe what the main tourism issue is, not political, but the main tourism issue is in your country. When you speak, I'm going to ask you to please not only tell us your name and how to pronounce it, but also what country you're coming from. And as it's become a tradition around the world to hear about the weather, tell us in 1 sentence, more or less, how the weather is in your country. So this is going to be an ongoing weather forecast, but really it's not about the weather. What it's really about is the weather or not for tourism. So that's a play on words. So anyway, I'm going to ask Maricata if she'll jump in because she's got some pretty signs there of the cherry blossoms in Washington, though I understand it's colder in DC than people expected. And that means the cicadas that come out every 17 years have not yet come out. So Maricata, how's the weather in Washington, DC? And what do you see as the #1 issue? And we got to unmute you. So please unmute yourself, or if not, no one will hear you.
Hey, so good evening, everyone. Good evening, Peter, and all our friends from around the world. I'm Mary Cardonato reporting live from Washington, DC. Weather is wonderful. It's cool. It's not hot at all. We have very, just pleasant temperatures today. About 55, 60 degrees, so it's great. And also our tourism looks bright. The mayor just announced that we will have a soft opening on May 25th and then full reopening on June 11th. After 14 months of pandemic, a full reopening on June 11th for the capital.
That's good news.
That must be very exciting. For those that don't know, Marika actually leads for the World Tourism Network, I'm speaking now, leads our tour guide interest group. And she is from profession. She's a leader in the tour guide industry. She's been a tour guide herself, I believe, and works with tour guides all over the world, including Nepal. And so I think you're really ready for a change in tourism, and we're heading there in the United States. I think we're fortunate, and hopefully it will be on path. In this type of environment, we never know what's tomorrow, but we all have learned to be very hopeful and optimistic. And with this, let me go to Lucky Karki Sheritila. I probably pronounce your name completely wrong, but namaste. She's joining us from one of my most favorite countries in the world, from Nepal. And I know, unfortunately, Nepal has some serious issues right now. So that's why I'm eager to hear it from someone who's in Nepal. And how's everything going for you, Lucky? Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, so when everyone speaks, please make sure you unmute yourself.
There we go.
Pronounce your name
Okay.
correctly, and give us a one sentence about how the weather is wherever you are.
Thank you, Georgian. It is a great pleasure to meet you all guys here. I want to start with my little bit background. I'm working in tourism since more than 20 years, and what I felt now, tourism is unlimited. You can create your own like path or whatever, because we are working in women empowerment in tourism. So there is a many different ways that you can create or curate your own path. So now in Nepal, it is not good because the pandemic has been like in the second phase, and everything is shut down. But we are optimistic it will go. Nothing will be permanent. Everything will be like uh, everything will be rid of. So we are in the dark side now, but there will be sunshine soon, and we are very much optimistic and looking forward to start our journey again. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hear much and learn so much. Thank you.
Lucky, thank you very much. And remembering back when you had the first corona wave in Nepal, Nepal really played an example in the world in being careful, in doing the right thing, in helping tourists that are in Nepal. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I think you have the experience, and I'd be very confident that this is a wave that will go to the next phase and become a lot better. Because of the people in Nepal. We've worked with Nepal, we've worked with the Nepal Tourism Board. Actually, we organized an event at the ITB, the last ITB in Berlin, that didn't happen. We had more than 500 people registered for the Nepal evening, and unfortunately it didn't happen. But let's see, next year we're going to have that event, hopefully, and we're going to have a few thousand people who are interested in learning more about Nepal. I'm just going to go here, and I go by the people I think I can see online, because some of you don't have a picture and we get to you later. But I see Douglas Adams. Maybe Douglas, you can tell us a little bit where you're from and so forth.
Sure, thanks very much. I'm from Hilo, Hawaii. So we're on the big island of the state of Hawaii. Our tourism is beginning to pick up. We're beginning to see numbers that are percentages of what we had back in 2019. 2020, of course, was horrendous from a number perspective, but we were closed as most of the world was. We are very actively making sure that we're keeping all of our residents and all of our visitors and our hospitality sector safe. So we've been doing that primarily through testing. Our vaccinations are not bad right now. We're getting close to 40% vaccination levels for the adults on the island. And we're seeing a good number of our visitors also indicating that they're vaccinated. So those are all good things. I would say that by and large, the tough part right now continues to be making sure that we find occupancy. That comes from being able to bring in our larger groups and associations. Those are the things that make sure that we have folks, that we have employees filled at about 90 to 100%. And so that's been difficult, just because we're not yet at a herd immunity capacity. So we're still having to be careful. but we are making progress. And the weather is tropical.
Yeah, I expect the weather not to be very different from Jürgen's weather. Ruben,
Well,
I see a gentleman here by the name of Ruben Wertheimer.
I think Ruben is, yeah, he's in Argentina, right, Ruben?
¿De dónde eres?
You have to
You have to
unmute
unmute.
yourself, please.
Tienes que activar eso.
Okay. Hello. Good evening from here.
Where's here?
From this end, it's now 10:30 in the evening. I am based in Buenos Aires.
One of my favorite cities.
My name is Ruben, and my family name, yes, it's a German name. My parents are from Germany, so it is Wertheimer. But I was born here, and I live here in Buenos Aires. I lived some years in Germany, but only when some years ago, some years ago. Beginning with the weather, well, you ask the weather in our country, but this is, Argentina is a very big country, so
No, that's where
we have all weathers possible here in this country, and we are at the beach, and we have also the mountains. But where I live now, it is for me the most beautiful season in the year, which I recommend everybody who wants to visit this city. This is autumn. We are in the transition from the summer to the winter, and this is a very, very nice season here in the city with beautiful colors. We have very much squares and parks and a city, really a very big city, with surrounding about 16 million people, but many trees, and very, very nice. So I recommend you to visit Buenos Aires. Now, coming to the issue, when tourism is also is going to be opened. At the moment, the possibilities to make tourism are for people living in the country. The border countries of Argentina, as Argentina, are very complicated with COVID. Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, as well as we in Argentina, we have the additional issue that there is not enough vaccinations. So this is a very big issue, and which is going to be solved. And sorry?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And well, I don't know when tourism is going to be opened here in the country to international passengers, but I hope it will be, I don't know, perhaps in the second half of the year. And well, we hope as all over the world that again tourism is going to be the industry which it was once, and of course it must be recovered. And I think all of us have a big responsibility to work hard on it. And well, and thank you very much, Jürgen, for this opportunity can share my thoughts with you. And well, I wish you are everybody healthy, and thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you very much also for participating. You have been on many of our events, and I really appreciate it. It's always good to hear from Argentina. Also, it's actually the place, if travel open again to Buenos Aires, that's the place to go for a good steak.
Yes,
absolutely. Not only steak.
Yeah.
We have the best ice creams in the world.
I've often argued that it's impossible to get a bad meal in Buenos Aires. You have to really work at it. It's
Yeah,
a
yes,
plan
yes.
to get it.
You know, that's wonderful. And we have Robert Stevens. I see his picture. Robert, where are you from? Please unmute yourself.
Okay, I unmuted. I'm in Jamaica,
Jamaica,
and
great.
we're opening up to tourism. We have actually essentially opened back to the United States, Canada, Europe, and the UK actually, but things are building. We're at about maybe 25% of where we were in 2019. But it's beginning to show signs of improvement. A lot of people are going after villas and they're moving in pods, you know, like 8, 10 people together. But they seem to be opening up also to some of the all-inclusive hotels. But not all the hotels are open yet.
Yeah.
But it's building because, you know, it was really bad last year. But I think that things are improving now. Our weather, it has been pretty good. We haven't had any signs of any hurricanes or anything in the Caribbean yet. So we're thankful for that. And let's hope it stays that way. But, you know, our hurricane season really begins in June.
Right.
And
June
it goes
through
on to about November. So we're just trying to pray that nothing will go wrong this year.
Yes. The last thing you all need in the Caribbean is a hurricane season, a bad hurricane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's hope that doesn't
Absolutely.
happen. Hopefully you've seen my new book along with Dr. Andrew Spencer on security in the Caribbean that Andrew Spencer and I just published together. So
Very good.
yeah,
Well,
so
I'll look
that's-
that up.
yes,
You should send me a link.
Yes, if you get my tourism tidbits, I'll make sure that you get it. So
Okay.
yes, but that's being read all over the Caribbean. Who else do we have up from around the world? I don't see a lot of pictures
Yeah,
here.
we have Katongo Lungo. I see his picture and him is moving. Welcome, Katongo. Where are you calling from?
Thank you, Jürgen, and thank you, Peter. I'm Katongo Rungo. I'm calling from Lusaka, Zambia.
Oh, great.
Southern Africa.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's early in the morning. Otherwise, the people are still
Very early.
sleeping.
I'm really
Others are
surprised.
just waking up. Others are just waking up because for those who are working at the airport, we are operating as we are speaking now.
What's
Wow.
the morning like there in Zambia? They're going to be a nice day?
Yeah, the morning is quiet. It was the weather is okay. It's winter. However, it's still sunny in the morning. According to the latest weather we got, it's clear skies, clear sunny, and it's home. However, it should be able to between now and 21st, it should be getting cold. You'll be able to see the weather on the news, whether CNN or BBC. Otherwise, it's still cold.
My son is going to be in Zambia in a few months. So I'll make sure that he finds you.
No problem. As usual, you can just let me know the itinerary. You
Yes.
can send it to me. Or I will meet your son and
Yes.
at the airport.
Okay.
And it's open now
Do you
in
work at the
Lusaka in
airport?
Zambia.
What do you do? in
Yes,
Zambia?
I'm in flight operations. I work for ProFlight Zambia. It's one of the local airline, which
Okay.
is currently operating in Zambia, ProFlight Zambia.
Okay, perfect, great. Well, that's wonderful to hear that flights are coming back and that
Yes, flights we are flying, we are operating, at least now it's open in Zambia. Although for people who are coming from India, those countries, you still have to be quarantined for 14 days. Those high epicenters, center. For instance, in April, we carried about 6,941 passengers. That is total routes for the month of April. That means the international flights are coming in. So far, the only international airline out of Africa is Emirates that is operating currently. It's just peaking now. It's peak season in short. From April to probably November 15th, it's now called a peak season for tourism.
Terrific.
Well,
Terrific. Oh, great. And Jürgen, I see someone who's with us all the time. That's Steve Brown.
Yeah, let me just tell very quick, Lucky, if you want to give us any updates later on the progress in Zambia, we're always interested in learning more about the reopening. And if you meet my good friend Stephen Asime, is he still with the tourism board? Stephen, he was in charge of the tourism board for many, many, many years. But maybe he's no longer there. I haven't heard from him for a while. But thank you very much. And yes, Peter, you wanted to go, I think, also to Stephen Brown. Is that
what? Yes, Stephen Brown's with us all the time from New York.
I mean, I think he's also an airline guy with American.
Hello, Jürgen and Peter and everybody on board. It's great to be back here again. Always a pleasure to see all of you. And I'm in New York, as you know, and the weather at the moment, it's approximately 56 degrees, a bit cool. Not that I fancy it. I much prefer to be right there in Hawaii with Jürgen, where it's nice and hot. And at this time, actually, New York is reopening up again, finally, after a year and a half. On July 1st, the city should be opened again. And in September, the Broadway shows will be reopened. So quite a lot of people are very happy about that. I know I am. And the tourists are certainly returning. Of course, in Europe, as well as in the Middle East, they're still shut down. So unfortunately, they can't be here. But slowly but surely, everything is returning to normal.
Yeah, Stephen, New York is having, at least reported, a major crime wave, including the fact that tourists have been shot in Times Square.
In Times Square,
yes. Is that a big issue? Because I know people who are now canceling, they had planned on going to New York, but they're fearful of going to New York, not because of COVID, but because of the major crime and the defunding of police. So I was wondering if you have any comments about that, because that's we spend so much time in COVID, we forget that there's lots of other issues that are going on in the world, both in the United States and in other parts of the world.
Quite true. Yes, we do have a crime wave there in New York, and it's quite, concerning. But I think what's also most concerning is with the Asians, the crime with the Asians, and
both Asians and Orthodox Jews.
Yes.
Both groups have been suffering a lot.
Yes, and indeed.
I remember I grew up in New York. Broadway used to be empty because of crime in the 70s and 80s. People were afraid to be on the streets. And then the city recovered. And now it appears the city's going back to a place of garbage and crime. And that's really scary.
It is quite scary, and a lot of people, as you've just noted, are afraid to come to New York because of that. But the crime is not only in New York, because at the same time, they had a shooting spree in Florida, as well as the Vancouver airport in Canada.
Yes, that's true.
You see, so it's all around, but it's very, very worrisome.
Yes, it is, because if we do not create security and safety for tourism, in the end, that will do much more harm in the long term than COVID ever did.
Indeed, yes.
COVID,
and especially
COVID is the topic of the day, but it will come and go. But crime, if it stays, is like a cancer that gnaws away at the body politic of the world of tourism.
And metastasizing.
Yes.
It's really awful.
But, this is not only in the United States, but in many parts of the world, we're seeing crime really increase.
Yes.
The major problem in Latin America and a major problem in Africa. So these
very true.
And Europe. I mean, London is, as you know, a very dangerous city, and people get knifed all the time.
And right there, I think, what was it, 2 weeks ago in France, that police was
Yes.
stabbed and
Yes.
killed.
Yes, yes. So these are real issues, and I'm afraid we've allowed COVID to take off the table many of the other issues that we really need to be talking about. So, because if we only look at COVID, tourism is not going to make it. We've got to be able to start looking at more than one issue at the same time. So that's why I interrupted you and asked you about the crime in New York.
That's all right.
No, thank you, Stephen. Thanks for
My pleasure.
being so loyal. We have a few other people. I don't see their pictures. Hopefully their microphones are working. And I just go down, I maybe just go down from who I see. And if I leave anyone out, please just raise your hand or jump in. We have Diane Collins. You want to unmute yourself? Maybe her microphone is not working. So if it's working, you can come back later. What about Douglas Adams?
Jürgen, I already had the opportunity to.
Oh, there, yes, yes, I see. I didn't see you. Okay, from the name, my mistake. But always feel free to jump in anytime. Okay, no problem. We have Brian Tanaka.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Brian. Where are you from?
I'm actually from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh, you're local also. Wow, we have. I'm glad we have so many from our islands here today.
Yeah, so I represent actually a labor union, and a lot of our members are working in the tourism industry. But at the same token, we've also have members that are working the longshore, bringing in the supplies to the state of Hawaii, and also the hospitals, which we cover extensively. So these fields was working heavily and overtime versus during the COVID time, and as we can see currently right now, Hawaii is kind of bouncing back. Our members are reporting to work. The hotels are getting filled. I think Douglas Adams is correct that the Big Island is, particularly out there on the Waikoloa side of the island. Some of the places is up 100% on capacity. So we know that it's picking up gradually here. There's plenty of traffic now on the roads. Before it was out there. No rental cars, literally. They actually sold it because they can't keep it more than 3 months. So now if you rent a car, sometimes it's $700 a month for a day, one day, that people are renting U-Hauls because it's cheaper. So eventually the car rentals would have to bring in the cars because they didn't have place to park it. On the islands, they used the Aloha Stadium to park the cars, but that filled up. He was looking for buildings that were shut down to use their parking. So actually we see it's getting brighter as we see most of our members are now starting to go back to work. But, tomorrow the state opens up. If you got a COVID vaccination card, you can travel within the state of Hawaii. So you can go from one island to the other as long as you got the card without having a period of time where you got to, lock yourself up, what we call, so we see that, it's opening up. On the hard end is Kauai tends to be getting more COVID negative, positive testing. And they were the best island. It was down real low. They're lucky if they get, a few, 1 or 2 a month, but now lately they've been getting up to 6, 7 a day. So
Brian, across much of the United States and much of the world, there's a real major problem with inflation. Since January, inflation in most of the United States is up about 30%, and gas prices have gone through the roof. I wonder if that's impacting people in Hawaii and impacting tourists as far as restaurant food, hotel prices. And I know the rental car situation is a big problem. Some people are actually finding it cheaper to rent a U-Haul than it is to have a car.
Yeah, that's
but what is the situation as far as inflation there for the person who's, are restaurant prices rising, or
the prices are rising, but not as high. But you got to remember now, the people aren't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So they have the money.
Yeah.
There's no vacation. You can't go nowhere. You can't go off island to spend your money. So they are going to, high-end restaurants and would take out foods. So it's gradually, it's building up in that ways that these high-end restaurants that never did have takeout now does have takeout.
Yes.
There's some, a market there.
Definitely, things have changed in Hawaii, Peter. I live right across from Ala Moana Shopping Center. I'm go outside. I'm at Nordstrom.
Unemployment in the state, but the United States.
Yeah, I mean the situation in Hawaii from the tourism perspective has really improved. There's a lot of new flights, like Hawaiian Airlines started flights to Austin, Texas, nonstop, to Orlando, Florida. These are destinations I think where in Hawaii really never looked in the past as a potential inbound market for the state. So I think on a domestic basis, tourism is really coming back very strong. Of course, international tourism hasn't started. Our borders are still closed. So that is definitely another issue. But altogether on a domestic part, I left last week or 10 days ago to go to Cancun for the WTTC conference. And my flights out of and in to Honolulu were 100% full. So these are promising signs. Our COVID numbers are not really going up as everyone was fearing. Today, I think we have a number of 60, what is relatively low. But as you said, travel and tourism is combined, specifically on the island of Kauai. Yes, the numbers are very low compared to many parts in the world, but they're a lot higher than they used to be. There was no COVID in Kauai. So all of this is interconnected, and it's something I think we should be very much aware of. And I don't know, I think there's Vera Barrington. Vera, do you want to jump?
Hopefully we have some people not from Hawaii, so we get an international perspective here.
We get everyone. Vera, where are you from?
Yes, I'm from St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Caribbean.
That's definitely not Hawaii.
Definitely not. And we were never locked down, shut down from tourism, but that doesn't mean that we were getting many tourists. We've been struggling, we continue to struggle, and we now have a double whammy because our volcano erupted explosively. And we now have over, I think, 10,000 people in various types of shelters. And about a third of the island has been evacuated. So it's been a double whammy, and we're struggling. We're looking at creative ways of getting ourselves back into the tourism industry in a vibrant way. But we know it's going to take a long haul because our agricultural sector has taken a big hit. We were big exporters of agriculture products to other parts of the Caribbean, which was a source of income. And with the tourism industry struggling, the agricultural sector struggling, it's a bit of a problem, let's putting it mildly. But we do think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're not sure how soon, but there is a light, and it's.
And we're all praying for you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Who else from a different part of the world might want to say a few words? And if not, we'll kind of bring this to an end, but.
No, wonderful. I think there is a lot more to go, and hopefully you enjoyed this different format and not just talking about the news. We're going to add the news to the segment in archive, and when we go on, you can bring up your own subjects. This was more like an introduction, how everything is. And I think one of the subjects we definitely want to cover is the patent issue for the vaccine for the developing world. That's something the World Tourism Network has gotten involved in. And there's a lot of discussions. I mean, the most important part is really get the vaccine to everywhere in the world as fast as possible. And that's in everyone's interest. It's not only in the interest for the receiving countries, it's also the interest for everyone in the world, because we're all only safe if everyone is safe. So this is definitely going to be an upcoming discussion. Also next week, I'll be speaking to you from Dubai. I'll be leaving for the Arabian travel market in Dubai, looking forward. And I'll be in Germany after this for about 1 week. I'm going to give you an update in Germany where things are fairly closed down still. And hopefully by the time I get there on the 22nd, there is more light at the end of that tunnel. And so we keep you up to date. But anything else, if there's any updates from your end, just feel free to jump in anytime during our open sessions. And we have the next one on Wednesday. You can easily go like on this one to worldtourismevents.com and join up to be with us on Wednesday. And if you cannot make it live, you see it always live also on eTurboNews, and you can see it in the archive as well. So I don't know if anyone else wanted to add anything else. Peter?
I just want to say that I think it's very important that this question of allocation of vaccines in the developing world be increased significantly. You now have a situation where the United States has a very low uptake of new people getting vaccinated because, they're reaching a saturation point almost, but they're throwing away vaccines. Now, the developed world has got to wake up to the fact that we in the developing world need to have these vaccines more distributed. And the removal of the patents is one step, but it needs to have a much, much wider distribution and manufacture of vaccines worldwide.
This is definitely something to be discussed. There's much to be said on both sides, but certainly it's appreciated. So I'm going to have to leave because I have calls coming in from Mexico, but I want to wish everybody a really good evening. And I think this issue of vaccines around the world is a really good beginning for our discussion on Wednesday. So please join us on Wednesday, and when we can begin to talk about that, and also be thinking of other issues, because the world is going on with or without COVID. And if the tourism industry only focuses on COVID, we're going to have a really major problem. So we really need to be thinking of lots of other problems. As you know, Jamaica has had a major issue of crime for a while, where they actually had to shut down part of the country, went into a special state of emergency. So these are issues we cannot forget. That's going to be a big error. We have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. So I'm going to wish everyone a wonderful evening and hope to see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, Peter, and before we go, I don't want to leave anyone out here. We just had a guest joining us a little bit later. Maybe you can just tell us where he's from, and then we come to a close. There is El Hadi Aziz. Where are you coming? Where are you joining us from? I think, well, maybe the microphone doesn't work on that end. So we are coming to an end for this session.
So let's say, we're not going to say good morning or good night. We're going to just say good. And then you put in your good morning, good night, good evening, however you like.
Yeah.
All right,
I
guys.
like to add some.
Go ahead.
Take care. Bye-bye. Good
Bye-bye.
evening.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night. Good night. Bye-bye.
Why you no longer need an I-94 to travel to the U.S. Foreign visitors to the U.S. arriving via air or sea no longer need to complete paper Customs and Border Protection Form I-94 Arrival, Departure Record or Form I-94 West Non-Immigrant Visa Waiver Arrival, Departure Record. Data on I-94 program for U.S. travel is readily available at anyone's fingertips. Travelers' arrival, departure information is collected automatically from electronic travel records by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Are there instances when an I-94 form is needed? U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) now gathers travelers' arrival, departure information automatically from their electronic travel records. In addition, the National Travel and Tourism Office (NTO) of the International Trade Administration (ITA) collects, analyzes, and disseminates overseas visitor arrival statistics I-94 program for the U.S. Travel and Tourism Statistical System. Today, IDA National Travel and Tourism Office announced 2 new data visualization tools called the I-94 Visitor Arrivals Monitors, one based on country of residence, CORE, and one based on country of citizenship, COC. NTTO now displays data summaries and graphic visualizations on total overseas visits to the United States as well as visits by major world regions. Anyone can view this information by clicking here. The datasets will report the most recent available data for international visitation, overseas, Canada, and Mexico. The comprehensive I-94 Excel workbooks currently provided to the public on this site will also remain available. When might you need an I-94? If travelers need the information from their Form I-94 admission record to verify immigration status or employment authorization, the record number and other admission information, they are encouraged to get their I-94 number. Those who need to prove their legal visitor status, to employers, schools, universities or government agencies, can access their CBP arrival, departure record information online. Because advance information is only transmitted for air and sea travelers, CBP will still issue a paper Form I-94 at land border ports of entry. Upon arrival, a CBP officer stamps the travel document of each arriving non-immigrant traveler with the admission date, the class of admission, and the date that the traveler is admitted until. If a traveler would like a paper Form I-94, one can be requested during the inspection process. All requests will be accommodated in a secondary setting. Upon exiting the U.S., travelers previously issued a paper Form I-94 should surrender it to the commercial carrier or to CBP upon departure. Otherwise, CBP will record the departure electronically via manifest information provided by the carrier or by CBP. This automation streamlines the entry process for travelers, facilitates security and reduces federal costs. CBP estimates that the automated process will save the agency $15.5 million a year. Rebuilding travel.
Red tourism becomes top choice for many Chinese this year. Red tourism stands out amid the robust recovery of China's domestic tourism sector. Red tourism refers to visiting historical sites with a modern revolutionary legacy. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party of China. During the May Day holiday, online searches for red tourism surged about 7-fold. According to a report recently released by online travel booking platform Trip and Xinhua Finance, red tourism stands out amid the robust recovery of the domestic tourism market following the effective containment of the COVID-19 epidemic in China. Red tourism, which refers to visiting historical sites with a modern revolutionary legacy, has become the top choice of many Chinese tourists this year. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party of China, CPC. During the just concluded May Day holiday, online searches for red tourism surged about 7-fold from last month, and red tourism orders placed on Trip rose 375% compared with the same period in 2019. A recent report on red tourism during the Tomb Sweeping Day holiday in early April and the May Day holiday indicated a general trend of an increasing number of younger individuals among the tourists. Over 89% of the tourists visiting revolutionary sites were aged under 40, with those born in the 1990s and 2000s accounting for more than 40% of the total, while those born in the 1980s accounted for over 30%. Before, the visitors were mostly elderly people and from the locality, but that picture has gradually shifted to include different age groups, many from different regions. The rising popularity of red tourism among young people may be partly attributed to the promotion of more creative tourist products, many of which employ new technologies such as artificial intelligence and virtual reality.
Travel technology, big at Arabian travel market. In partnership with Amadeus, Travel Forward Theater welcomes Google, Skyscanner, Travelport, Hilton Hotel, Expedia Group and more to ATM in Dubai. An in-person lineup of big travel brands will be presenting in a few days at Arabian Travel Market in Dubai. This 4-day event kicks off with the application of technology to adapt to the new reality. Hotels will also represented across the event as hospitality panel talking about how data and technology can support personalized trips. Travel Forward, the leading global event for travel technology, has revealed an impressive lineup of big-name brands to present live on stage as a part of sister event Arabian Travel Market (ATM). This year's ATM is a hybrid event. Travel Forward is part of the in-person event taking place at Dubai World Trade Center from 16 to 19 May 2021, co-located with ATM Dubai. ATM Virtual will take place from 24 to 26 May, and all sessions from the in-person event will be available to view during the virtual event. In collaboration with the travel tech powerhouse Amadeus, Travel Forward Theater will welcome Amadeus's Senior Vice President of Retail for Middle East and Africa, Jamel Chandul, who will discuss how collaboration can help to rebuild the travel industry using technology to offer travelers a smoother and safer travel experience. The session looks at travelers' top concerns including health apps. It takes place on Monday the 17th of May from 13:30 to 14:30. The four-day event kicks off on Sunday the 16th of May with a two-part session featuring Gavin Harris from travel marketplace Skyscanner and Catherine Wallington from next-generation global distribution platform Travelport. The application of technology to adapt to the new reality begins at 12:30 on Sunday the 16th of May. Later that day, David DeBell, director of Expedia Group's accommodation team in Middle East and Africa, will talk not only about the insights that can be gleaned from listening to the global travel ecosystem but also how these insights can be converted into real-world action plans. This session is on from 16:15 to 1700. Elsewhere, an hour-long expert panel will outline the path forward for destination marketing organizations. It will be led by Hans Klee from the Dubai office of Boston Consulting Group and Eva Kudel-Skrlik, a destination marketing expert from Google. They will share the findings from an extensive collaborative research project, giving attendees practical advice and takeaways on how to position their destination for the return of travelers. The panel begins at 16:30 on Monday the 17th of May. Hotels are also represented across the three-day event. Joachim Jan Slifer, president for the Middle East, Africa and Turkey operations of Hilton, is part of a hospitality panel talking about how data and technology can support personalized trips and memorable experiences. His session starts at 10:30 on Wednesday the 19th of May. Simon Press, exhibition director at Travel Forward, said, "The return of live events for the global travel industry is welcomed by all of us. The lineup we've assembled for Travel Forward at ATM Dubai proves that senior execs from across the travel tech ecosystem are willing to travel and share their insights and expertise on how best to approach the first wave of post-pandemic travelers." Danielle Curtis, exhibition director ME, Arabian Travel Market, said, "Travel technology is integral to our hybrid format this year. The use of technology is accelerating across all industry sectors, none more so than the travel sector. With expert insight, it will be fascinating to find out just what the new normal will look like, the role technology will play and how industry players and consumers will adapt." ATM 2021 will be held at the Dubai World Trade Center, spread across 9 halls. Consistent with the existing density restrictions and social distancing guidelines and regulations, there will be 11,000 people in the halls at any given time. The theme of this year's show is a new dawn for travel and tourism, and the spotlight will be focused on the very latest news from around the world: vaccine rollouts, the current state of the industry, and more importantly, what the future holds. The event will once again play an integral role in Arabian Travel Week, a 10-day-long festival of travel and tourism events taking place in Dubai and online. Dubai is one of the safest cities in the world to visit, with a wide range of precautionary measures in place to ensure the safety of tourists at every stage and touchpoint of their travel journey, from arrival to departure. It was also awarded a Safe Travel stamp from the World Travel and Tourism Council, WTTC. Over 11.1 million doses have already been administered in the UAE, which is also a major achievement. ATM 2021 strategic partners include Dubai's Department of Tourism and Commerce Marketing, Dubai Tourism as destination partner, Emaar Hospitality Group as official hotel partner, Emirates as official airline partner, and The Vision as official destination management partner. If you are planning to attend ATM in person, please feel free to post using the hashtags #IamGoingToATM and #IdeasArriveHere. To register for ATM 2021, go to www.wtm.com. For more news about ATM, please scan the below QR code or visit hub.wtm.com. About Arabian Travel Market ATM. Arabian Travel Market ATM, now on its 28th year, continues to be the focal point for the Middle East's resilient and ever-changing travel and tourism landscape and prides itself on being the hub of all travel and tourism ideas, providing a platform to discuss insights on the ever-changing industry, share innovations and unlock endless business opportunities. Arabian Travel Market is part of Arabian Travel Week, www.wtm.com. Next in-person event, Sunday 16 to Wednesday 19 May 2021, Dubai World Trade Center, Dubai. Next virtual event, Monday 24 to Wednesday 26 May 2021. eTurboNews is a media partner for WTM.
Jamaica Tourism calls for United Caribbean voice against vaccine inequity. As regional stakeholders ramp up efforts to woo back tourists and rebuild the sector in the aftermath of the fallout caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, Jamaica Minister of Tourism, Hon. Edmund Bartlett, has called on Caribbean leaders to raise their voices collectively against the inequitable distribution of vaccines. Only 1 in more than 500 people in poorer countries has received the COVID-19 vaccination. At the current rate, the world's poorest 92 countries will not be able to reach a vaccination rate of 60% of their populations until 2023 or later. Without equity in the distribution of vaccines, there will be no recovery for tourism and the economy. While 1 in 4 people in high-income countries has now been vaccinated against COVID-19, only 1 in more than 500 people in poorer countries has received a jab. Based on the current trend of vaccine inequity, it is estimated that the world's poorest 92 countries will not be able to reach a vaccination rate of 60% of their populations until 2023 or later, Minister Bartlett lamented. He was delivering the keynote address during a virtual forum on tourism diplomacy, Rebuilding Tourism Safely, hosted by the Tourism Linkages Network, TLN, a division of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF. The session was the first in a 5-part online forum series, spearheaded by the TLN's Knowledge Network. Underscoring the importance of the industry, Minister Bartlett said credible evidence suggested that tourism has now earned the status of an industry that is too big to fail. In that regard, he added, it is therefore imperative that the sector survives during and beyond the current crisis, so that it can continue to fulfill its vital role as a significant catalyst of global economic recovery and growth. However, he stressed that without equity in the distribution of vaccines, there would be no recovery for tourism, especially for Caribbean islands which depend heavily on the industry. The tourism industry, at both the global and regional levels, must speak up about the vaccine inequity louder than it already has and must play a more significant role in tackling the issues, if the industry is to return to any sense of normality, as without vaccine equity there will be no travel recovery, he warned. He emphasized that tourism players in the region need to be vigilant. Minister Bartlett said persons within the industry have platforms, connections, expertise and global influence, and are therefore able to articulate clearly and loudly to policymakers about the consequences of how things are going, and also how they can function in a more morally appropriate manner. He posited in the final analysis, if Caribbean economic recovery is to begin this year, if employment is to be restored, and tourism returned in a significant way, many more vaccines need to be made available very soon, not just to safeguard public health, but for longer-term economic recovery and stability. Director of Tourism, Donovan White said with the onset of the pandemic in 2020, regional tourism inflows declined by 11 million or 66% relative to 2019 and was felt hard in Jamaica, with revenue generated through tourism taxes and other charges evaporating. So far, he added, only 30% of local tourism workers have been back on their jobs full-time, with another 10 to 20% on part-time, with reduced wages as tourist visits continue to rise steadily. On the issue of vaccination inequality and hesitation, he saw the need for public-private sector partnership in educating the public to ensure success at achieving herd immunity. More news about Jamaica. Number rebuilding travel.
Global vaccine rollouts spur the return of travel. Traveler behaviors and preferences have evolved significantly over the past year. CDC News made 43% of Americans feel more comfortable traveling. Start of 2021 saw travel turn a corner with monthly search volumes showing strong growth. Many travelers continue to prioritize domestic over international travel and are taking trips closer to home. The Q1 2021 Travel Recovery Trend Report was released today. The quarterly trend report features data from Custom Research and Expedia Group first-party data combined with actionable insights to help ensure travel brands are best prepared to reconnect and re-engage with travelers as spring and summer travel ramps up. Traveler behaviors and preferences have evolved significantly over the past year, meaning travel brands can no longer rely on historical marketing strategies to inform their recovery plans. Industry experts know people are eager to start traveling again, but how they engage with travel brands, and what they expect, has changed. This report spotlights the latest data and trends to help travel brands develop strategies, messaging and content that aligns with what travelers want and need to book their next trip. Key findings from the Q1 2021 Travel Recovery Trend Report include: global vaccine rollouts spur the return of travel. After a turbulent year for the travel industry in 2020, the start of 2021 saw travel turn a corner with monthly search volumes showing strong growth throughout Q1. The increase in searches and traveler demand is linked with growing momentum for the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines and travel guidelines. With one of the world's leading vaccine rollouts, search trends in the U.S. illustrate the correlation between major vaccine announcements and week-on-week search growth. In week-over-week searches, the week of March 15 saw the largest spike in searches, an increase of 30% following the Center for Disease Control's (CDC) release of guidelines for fully vaccinated individuals. The CDC News made 43% of Americans feel more comfortable traveling, or drove them to book an upcoming trip. Global search window remains short. Continuing a trend seen throughout much of last year, the majority of global Q1 2021 searches fell within the 0 to 21 days search window, as uncertainty around global travel saw travelers opt for more opportunistic, short-term trips, often close to home. While this trend seems to be strengthening for domestic trips, longer search windows for international trips are beginning to emerge. This trend is particularly pronounced in the EMEA region, where searches 91 days out or longer represented almost 40% of international searches made in Q1 2021, up from around 25% in Q4 2020. This is good news for bucket list, or once-in-a-lifetime type destinations or attractions looking to attract long-haul travelers. Domestic travel here for the foreseeable future. Even with COVID-19 vaccine distribution ramping up, many travelers continue to prioritize domestic over international travel, and are taking trips closer to home. In Q1 2021, beach and city destinations made up the top 10 booked destinations around the world. At a regional level, the top 10 booked destinations also reflect beach and city destinations, though within the same region. As travelers look ahead to late spring and summer trips, car travel will continue to eclipse air travel and other transportation methods. Recent custom research found that for both domestic and international travel to a neighboring country during April to September 2021, travelers consider driving their own car or a rental car safer than other modes of transportation. Making up for lost time with longer trips. Many travelers are making up for lost time this year by taking longer trips, planning to fully use vacation days and continuing to work remotely while traveling with flexcations, longer stays that include work and play. Those longer trips are benefiting destinations and accommodations providers. Quarter over quarter, in Q1 2021, vacation rental demand increased and the global average length of stay for vacation rentals jumped 30%. Data from Vrbo shows vacation rental travelers are 75% more likely to book more stays of at least 7 nights at vacation homes this summer, exceeding pre-pandemic levels, and illustrating the opportunities for travel marketers to promote and encourage longer stays. Health and hygiene expectations continue to evolve. Since the start of the pandemic, health and hygiene-related factors have grown in importance for travelers. However, as consumer confidence continues to grow, there are signs that more traditional decision-making drivers, such as cost, financial peace of mind and convenience, are beginning to reassert themselves. When comparing the top 5 topics searched for when booking flights from the last 12 months against the top 5 from Q1 2021, health and hygiene-focused considerations dropped from the list. Topics such as overall safety, cleanliness and crowding were replaced with cost, the ability to change flights and navigation, among others.
Allegiant announces new Senior Vice President Senior Counsel. Rob Goldberg promoted to the position of Allegiant Senior Vice President Senior Counsel. Goldberg specializes in corporate finance and securities law. Goldberg joined Allegiant in 2017 after serving as outside counsel for over 15 years. Goldberg has more than 40 years of legal practice experience. Allegiant today announced Rob Goldberg has been promoted to the position of Senior Vice President Senior Counsel. Goldberg specializes in corporate finance and securities law. He joined Allegiant in 2017 as Vice President Senior Counsel after serving as outside counsel for the company for more than 15 years. He also serves as secretary to the company's board of directors. Rob's decades of experience in the aviation industry, combined with his special expertise in securities law and financing transactions, makes him an incredibly valuable member of our team, said Allegiant President John Redmond. His work has been integral to Allegiant's development since the early 2000s, and his expertise and stewardship will continue to serve the company well through our next phase of growth. Goldberg has more than 40 years of legal practice experience. Prior to joining Allegiant, he was a shareholder partner in the law firm Ellis Funk, P.C. Based in Atlanta, Georgia. He had previously practiced with the firm Altman, Kritzer, and Levick, P.C. in Atlanta, where he was also a partner. During his career, Goldberg has taken 3 different airlines public: Atlantic Southeast Airlines in 1982, ValueJet Airlines in 1994, and Allegiant Air in 2006. A graduate of the University of Virginia School of Law and Emory University Business School, Goldberg is admitted to the bar in Georgia, South Carolina, and Nevada. Hemingway Look-alike Contest returns to Key West. This summer's contest is scheduled July 22-24 at Sloppy Joe's Bar, where it began some 40 years ago. Preliminary rounds are slated for July 22 and 2. The winner is to be chosen July 24 from about 24 finalists. The running of the bulls, an offbeat promenade of lookalikes with fake bulls, to be staged July 24 on Key West's Duval Street. Dozens of stocky, bearded men resembling Ernest Hemingway are to return to Key West for the 2021 Hemingway Look-alike Contest after the global coronavirus pandemic forced cancellation of the 2020 competition. Organizers announced late Friday that this summer's contest is scheduled July 22-24 at Sloppy Joe's Bar, where it began some 40 years ago. Preliminary rounds are slated for July 22 and 23, with a reduced entry field of 35 contestants each night. The winner is to be chosen July 24 from about 24 finalists. In the past, we've had upwards of 85 contestants in our preliminary rounds, meaning 85 on Thursday, 85 on Friday, said Donna Edwards, the competition's organizer. We're limiting the number of contestants at this time. We want to make sure that we're able to put on a great show and a safe show. According to Edwards, the running of the bulls, an offbeat promenade of lookalikes with fake bulls, is to be staged the afternoon of July 24 on Key West's Duval Street. The look-alike contest is a highlight of Hemingway Days, an annual salute to the literary legend who lived and wrote on the island for most of the 1930s. The 2021 festival, set for July 2025, is to feature other events including the 3-day Key West Marlin Tournament, a commemoration of the 122nd anniversary of the author's July 21 birth, a museum exhibit of rare Hemingway memorabilia, literary readings and presentations, a street fair, a 5K run and paddleboard race, and the announcement of the winner of the Lorien Hemingway short story competition. Among the classics Hemingway wrote during his Key West years are For Whom the Bell Tolls, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, and To Have and Have Not.
Disney parks ticket prices will double by 2031. New research reveals the predicted cost of going to global Disney parks in 2031. The research looked at the original cost of a ticket in each Disney resort when it first opened and compared that against current prices to be able to predict the cost of a ticket to each resort in 10 years' time. Future cost of Disney parks. Rank venue opening price USD, current price USD, predicted 2031 price USD %. Increase opening to 2031. 1 Disneyland Resort, California $2.50, $124, $223.96, 8,858.40%. 2 Walt Disney World, Florida $3.50, $124, $253.20, 7,134.29%. 3 Disneyland Paris $36.94, $11, $130.72, 259.89%. 4 Hong Kong Disneyland Resort $45, $82.21, $119.71, 165.87%. 5 Tokyo Disney Resort $39, $74.96, $89.42, 132.90%. 6 Shanghai Disney Resort $57, $60.91, $70.83, 25.40%. Walt Disney World Resort in Florida is projected to be the most expensive Disney destination, costing $253 per adult ticket in 2031. This is an increase of 7,134% since the park first opened 50 years ago. China's Shanghai Disney Resort is currently the most affordable of the group and is set to retain that title, with prices only projected to rise 25% by 2031. It's always interesting to see how prices increase over time. It's hard to imagine the price of an adult ticket to Disneyland California was just $2.50 in 1955. It's $124 today, and if trends continue, an equivalent ticket would cost a hefty $222 in 10 years' time. Industry experts are predicting similar increases in the other Disney parks, although at different rates. The Asian parks, in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Tokyo, will likely remain more affordable. Despite the steep increase in price, millions of families continue to travel to the parks each year and pay a premium to experience that Disney magic. There was a steady rise in bookings to the Orlando area in particular, evidence that Disney's trademark fun and R&R continues to be a lure, especially for families planning their post-pandemic comeback vacations. Pegasus Airlines reconnects Budapest Airport with Istanbul, Turkey. Turkish Pegasus Airlines flies back to Budapest Airport. Turkish low-cost carrier will operate the 1,080 km link with its fleet of 180-seat A320s initially. Budapest-Istanbul flights will be conducted twice weekly. Flights from Budapest to Istanbul's Sabiha Gökçen Kasan Airport have returned with Pegasus Airlines. The route resumes direct connectivity between Hungary's capital city and Turkey's major city, which bestrides Europe and Asia, across the Bosphorus Strait. The Turkish low-cost carrier will operate the 1,080 km link with its fleet of 180-seat A320s, initially twice weekly, as travelers and the business community welcome the relaunch. Bringing back business safely is a key priority at our airport, and it is hugely positive to welcome Pegasus Airlines back to Budapest, said the spokesperson for Budapest Airport. Reinstating the popular Istanbul route will provide business and leisure opportunities, as well as the welcome return of visitors to our beautiful city. Reopening connectivity, boosting trade and tourism, while providing our customers with more connectivity, convenience and choice is our primary goal. Budapest Ferenc Liszt International Airport, formerly known as Budapest Ferihegy International Airport and still commonly called just Ferihegy, is the international airport serving the Hungarian capital city of Budapest, and by far the largest of the country's 4 commercial airports. Pegasus Airlines is a Turkish low-cost carrier headquartered in the Kırkköy area of Pendik, Istanbul, with bases at several Turkish airports.